Welcome back. Well, today is the last day of the three-day ANC NEC meeting, which began on Sunday. Well, and the factional lines are beginning to get clearer.
The party is divided over whether officials implicated in corruption should step aside. The divisions have the party's president worried. Let's discuss this with political analyst Tinyiko Maluleke. Very good morning to you. The president says that the party is at war with itself. He's saying what we all know. It seems clear that the battle lines have been drawn. How important an admission is this?
Look, it's a very important admission, but it is not a new admission. The ANC has been in this kind of crisis for at least the past decade. Maybe that crisis has been worse over the past 5 years. And the hope was that with the accent of Cyril Ramaphosa to the leadership, that we were going to get out of that crisis. And what is that crisis? It's not merely a crisis of leadership, it's also a crisis of identity. It's a crisis of morality, it's a crisis of ethics in the party. It's a crisis of who and what the ANC is. I mean, people talk about two ANCs. I would suggest to you that there are several ANCs out there living side by side unhappily with one another.
And Mr. Maluleke, I mean, the president also acknowledges the fact that not only is there internal faction, but also it's starting to display publicly, where the public is starting to see an ANC that seems to be in war amongst, themselves. I mean, how will this impact next year's local government elections?
But this is the funny thing, that for all these years of inept, crisis-ridden leadership, unethical behavior, strongman politics from the local to the national level, flamboyant, unscrupulous leaders who take from the public purse, who commit some of the most reprehensible crimes. For all these years, with all these things happening, South African voters have always voted for the ANC for the past 26 years. And at some stage, it looks as if South African voters are saying, carry on. But I wonder whether a time will come when South African voters will begin to send a different signal to the ANC. But until now, we haven't seen that.
Because I should imagine that many South Africans are frustrated that so much time is spent debating something that was already decided. For example, if you are implicated in any way, you step down, and yet they've got to go back to the table and debate this. The president says that we've got to deal with these divisions. The party is at war with itself. He said we must respond decisively and with urgency to COVID-related corruption. And look at Bandile Masuku. He's yet to be charged by the ANC. So it's why say something when in actual fact, a couple of paragraphs later, you're undermining exactly what you said.
You see, it speaks to the very character of the ANC we are discussing. An ANC that is aware of what its problems are, but is unable to address those problems, or unwilling to address those problems. So the ANC knows it has a corruption problem. The ANC met in August this year to make that point and to drive it home and agreed that that is something that needs to be addressed. And the fact that you have a series of legal opinions is a sign that there is no real political will from inside of the party to tackle this. The ANC seems to like to like itself the way it is. The question is whether South Africans will continue to like the ANC the way it is. But for now, there is no real determination. And my suspicion, Jane, is that what we will hear announced today or tomorrow is some sort of compromise that kicks the can, that puts the ball to touch until sometimes next year. And that tells you that the ANC doesn't really want to deal with this. It's probably too nice a position to be in, to be unanswerable, to be able to do what you want. And people still give you power.
Mr. Maluleke, I can't let you go before I ask you this question, because we're running out of time. But, we've been observing 16 days of activism for many years now. The ANC, during their speech, acknowledging that they applaud the women of this country, but also the ANC Women's League for having led the charge and having raised awareness on this matter. Honestly, has the ANC Women's League been at the forefront to ensure that issues around gender-based violence, including femicide, are dealt with? Has the visibility been accurate?
Look, we can't assess the role of the ANC Women's League in 10 seconds. It's not possible. And I also think that if we were to assess the role of the Women's League in fighting gender-based violence, in fighting patriarchy inside and outside the ANC in this country, we would need to take a long-term view. The fact of the matter is that over the past few years, even the ANC Women's League has seemed to falter. But I don't think that is how the Women's League has always been. So a fair assessment of it would need us to go beyond the last 10 years or the last 5 years of its life. But over the past few years, it has faltered, alongside many other leagues and parts of the ANC.
But you think, if we want to take something seriously, we've got to have an instrument of power to take it forward. Tinyiko Maluleke, very good to talk to you. Thank you very much for that.